Kingdom Come Deliverance II is the long-awaited sequel to the first game, a much-loved game with a lot of fans, myself included. This new edition has everything that was amazing about the first, while adding in some adjustments to make the game more user-friendly, and, more importantly, it still feels like the same Kingdom Come Deliverance game, even with the 7-year gap between releases. And while I would personally say this game is more user-friendly than the first, it is by no means a walk in the park. In fact, it's still an incredibly tricky game to get into, as the start can be brutal, and mechanics such as no quick saving, bleeding effects, and sleep and hunger needs make an already brutal game that much harder. So I've come up with a few tips and tricks for players out there who really want to play this game but aren't super confident in their abilities. Following these should make the game a lot less painful, and prevent some of those rage quits. So starting off very early on in your game, you'll get access to an alchemy station along with a free potion recipe and a great area to explore with loads of ingredients. It's a really good place to just buy a few potion recipes, such as the potion that saves the game for you and maybe some health potions, and just knuckle down, gather ingredients, and make some potions. These can both be sold or they can be utilized in battle, just whatever. Next up, do not sleep in any bed that isn't yours. You will be tempted to, and sometimes it will even make sense since you've just had maybe a friendly conversation with the owner and the bed's right there and they're not using it. But no, you'll always be woken up immediately with a very annoyed person saying that you've trespassed and they'll be demanding money or they'll blood to the guards. It's an expensive lesson to learn. When buying or selling items, always haggle. Not only does it add up to a lot of coin in the long run, but if you ask for a reasonable amount and don't overdo it, the merchant will be really happy with you and you'll increase your reputation in that town while also increasing your speech skill at the same time. When fighting multiple enemies, constantly circle around them to make sure you keep one enemy close to attack while keeping the other enemies behind the first one so they can't attack you. I don't ever remember this working that well in the first game, but in Kingdom Come Deliverance II, it's actually quite manageable to have a few enemies at once if you keep to this strategy. In larger fights, this one might be a bit of a dirty trick, I think, but where you have other NPCs on your side fighting with you, I always got behind the person that NPC was fighting and attacked them from behind. It is an incredibly easy kill, and a great way to increase a bunch of fighting skills just by flying through a bunch of enemies because they're too busy fighting someone else. Now, I'm not sure if you could do this in the first game, but in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, you actually have some outfit slots, so you can change between a few different fits. I had a fighting outfit, so one with the best possible defense, and a charismatic outfit. Every single time I looted someone and got equipment, I would take the time to check against each of these outfits to make sure that none of those new items that I had were better than anything I'd previously equipped. And if it was, then I swapped it out. You will need different outfits for different occasions, and having the right one can really help you out. Also, this way you constantly have the best of the best equipment as well. Related to the previous tip, don't wear regular clothes going into any mission. Always prepare with good armor. This is a lesson I learnt the hard way many times. There were several times during the game where I had on some nice charismatic outfit because I wanted to look good, and then I started a mission and all of a sudden there was a random fight that I wasn't expecting and I was being killed with a single hit because I did not have any armor on. Armor is extremely essential and a must. And also, you can't change your armor if you're in the middle of a fight. So if you're going into a mission, wear good armor. Now, if you're at the start of the game and you're wondering why you can't sneak kill enemies like I was, it's because you need to have a dagger equipped. And killing bandits and any sort of enemies while they're sleeping is so much easier. There was one quest where I kept trying to fight these bandits because I needed to get a horse from them and I just couldn't do it. And then I ended up getting my hands on a dagger and thought I would go back and try and sneak kill everyone, and it worked beautifully. so get yourself a dagger, girl. If you get into thievery, which you really should, as the more you do it, the easier it gets, and it's kind of almost necessary the later you get in the game. But there is a guy that buys stolen items in a nomad camp that you meet early on. So keep that in mind, because merchants will not want to buy stolen merchandise. You'll need to repair your armor and weapons a lot, and this can get expensive. While certain NPCs offer to repair these items for you, it can be really pricey. Instead, make sure you always have at least one of every type of repair kit on you. These may seem really expensive at first, but it ends up being so much cheaper than having them repaired by an NPC, and having broken weapons and armor can really put you at a disadvantage in this game. Next up, being over encumbered isn't always a bad thing. In fact, I quite liked it. I always looted every single item I could possibly get throughout the game, as you can get so rich from this, and I totally did. I was loaded. But it often left me over encumbered. I took many trips just slowly walking into the next available town I could find to sell these items, and you can't fast travel or you can't run because you're over encumbered and you're heavy as hell, so it is a slow walk, but doing so raises your strength a crazy amount. And it's always such a lovely walk as well. It is truly a beautiful game. Lastly, books. Books are an amazing way to increase your skill in this game. You can get them from thieving, and you'll also need to purchase a few. I also found that yes, while they're expensive, they can be sold back for a pretty decent amount. So very well worth it in my opinion. Now, if you're really struggling with the game in the beginning, I suggest you set aside some time to grind. And grinding in this game to me doesn't even feel like grinding. It kind of just feels like a really relaxing medieval life sim. Doing the following should get your skills high enough and get you a good few perks to make your life easier, along with a ton of money which can be used to buy better equipment and weapons. These are my grinding suggestions. First off, that alchemy station that you come across early in the game. So you will be given a recipe to make a chamomile potion, as you'll need one of these for a quest anyway. Because of this, you'll also be shown where the ingredients are, which is really close by. So you'll have access to free food here and a sleep and save bed, along with the alchemy station and the exact location of the ingredients. Save often, because you never know what you might run into in the wild, but here you can just take your time, gather those ingredients, and just keep brewing potions. You'll increase your alchemy skill super easily, and you'll be able to sell these potions for a nice amount of money. You can also get your hands on other potion recipes, including health or that hard to find saving potion from a merchant in the nearby town, and these are extremely useful potions just to have on hand. I spent quite a long time making a ton of these saving potions, and it was a godsend. So early on in the game, alchemy grinding here is just an easy, convenient, and safe grinding option early on. Next on the list is a bit of thievery. There are a few towns you'll find in your first few hours, each with plenty of homes ripe for the picking. While you can steal during the day, I really recommend only doing so at nighttime, because if you're spotted by anyone while being near a home that has had items stolen, they will just know it was you. So fast forward to midnight, as by this time everyone should be asleep. Keep on the outskirts of the bigger towns as to avoid guards. Smaller towns I found don't always have guards on patrol, so they're a bit safer, but just sneak your way into people's homes. Mostly everything good to steal will be in chests, but also make sure you check cupboards, as well as people can keep expensive items in there too. Also, don't forget to pickpocket your sleeping victims. Pickpocketing is much easier when they're sleeping, which, you know, makes sense. With these first few towns, there is so much stuff to get, and most locks are easy or very easy, so it's a great way to get this skill up, especially as it's really handy to have a higher level for later points in the game. And you'll also get a really nice amount of loot to sell for coin. Now, my next grinding suggestion relates to the previous one. So you've just stolen a bunch of stuff. Now what? Well, chances are you're over-encumbered. It's pretty easy to get over your weight limit, especially with armors, and unlike most other games, you can continue to pick up well over your limit. It just means that you'll get slower and slower. So after you steal as much as you can possibly get your greedy little hands on, it's time to take a nice slow walk over to the Nomad camp, which is just to the west of that house with the alchemy station. There is a fence here who will buy stolen items. This is also a relatively safe area to walk through, although walking during the daytime is always the safer option. Walking while over-encumbered will increase your strength quite a bit, which is a great skill to grind, and it will also give the items some time to lose their stolen status too, which means more money when you sell them. And personally, I would use this money to buy books from a scribe, read them, increase a bunch of skills, and then sell them back for a neat return price. Also be sure to steal any chests that you find near a scribe, because chances are it'll have a bunch of books in it. Just so you know. So there you go, these are my tips and tricks. I'm not necessarily the best at the game, but I found that these were the things that helped me out the most. So I hope you find these helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you have your own tips and tricks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!